Joe Biden forgets the leader's name of a key U.S. ally. The Democrats plan a massive wave of tax increases. Plus, General Mark Milley says his alleged conversations with China were perfectly routine. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Okay, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Joe Biden because his history of gaffes and misstatements and forgetfulness is definitely catching up with him. Now, instead of pointing out a speech or a press conference where Biden makes a gaffe or just spaces out, the new goal is to find a speech or press conference where he doesn't. Recall this moment when Biden was talking about black business owners.
The data shows young black entrepreneurs are just as capable of succeeding given the chance as white entrepreneurs are. But they don't have lawyers, they don't have accountants, but they have great ideas.
Isn't it amazing that the Democrats continually think minorities are incapable of doing anything for themselves, and yet the media never call them out on statements like that? And then, of course, there's Biden being told which reporters to call on and in which order.
Ladies and gentlemen, they gave me a list here. The first person I was instructed to call on was Kelly O'Donnell of NBC.
This is not a person who is in control of what's going on. Everything is highly scripted and structured, and when Biden is forced to go without a teleprompter, you never know what is going to happen. Recall, when Biden was commenting on Secretary of State Lloyd Austin, who, as Secretary of Defense, works at the Pentagon.
Just want to thank you both, and I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there. I want to make sure we thank the secretary for all he's done to try to implement what we just talked about.
The former general, the guy who runs that outfit over there, the Pentagon. It's beyond embarrassing, folks, and Biden has done it again and again. During an announcement of a trilateral security partnership among the United States, Britain, and Australia, Biden completely blanked on the name of Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison. He only had two names to remember, Boris Johnson from the UK and Scott Morrison from Australia. Here's Biden.
Thank you, Boris. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister. And I want to thank that fellow down under. Thank you very much, pal. Appreciate it, Mr. Prime Minister.
This is just unreal. Biden says, that fella down under. Thank you very much, pal. The gaffe was certainly noticed by news outlets too, such as the Australian and Sky News. And the hashtag that fella down under was trending on Twitter. Something needs to be done, friends. There were reports last week that Biden's staffers won't even watch his speeches or press conferences because they know something bad is going to happen. His Q&A sessions are scripted, and if he goes off script, the Biden team is ready to pull the plug on the entire news feed. Recall, that happened back in March during a virtual meeting when Biden told Democrat lawmakers, "I'll be happy to take your questions." Boom, the feed just ended. Well, guess what? It happened again this week, too.
Can I ask you a question? Of course. One of the things that I've been working on with some others is...
Can you imagine what it must be like working on the Biden team and they hear, "Can I ask you a question?" They go into red alert mode. Pull the plug, pull the plug. And this is happening with the President of the United States. So what do you think? Will Biden make it through this term? The alternatives to Biden are as bad or worse. So let me know what you think in the comments. All right, so next let's talk about the taxes that the Democrats are planning to put on the American people. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Okay, let's talk taxes, because if the Democrats get their way, taxes will be going up dramatically. And one thing is clear, it won't just affect the so-called super wealthy like they claim. These taxes are coming for everyone, and here's the story. President Biden's plan for higher taxes to pay for his $3.5 trillion social welfare expansion so far includes 40 new taxes. The menu of hikes ranges from doubling the federal tobacco tax to more than $2 per pack to boosting the top income tax rate to 39.6% from 37%, adding up to one of the largest tax increases in U.S. history. Big corporations and the super wealthy have to pay their fair share of taxes, Mr. Biden said at the White House. It's long overdue. Okay, let's stop there for a second because I just want to remind everyone that the so-called wealthy are the ones who pay the vast majority of taxes. Biden and other Democrats love to throw out that line that the wealthy just have to pay their fair share. But one, they never define what fair share is, and two, it's not a true statement anyway. Here's a great chart by the Heritage Foundation that helps put things in perspective. Okay, taking a look at this chart, you have the top 1% of all income earners. That's those making $540,000 per year or more. They represent 21% of all earned income and pay 40% of all income taxes. That's right. The top 1% pay 40% of all income taxes. On the other end, the bottom 50% pay 3% of all income taxes. That's the system we have. It's the system that the left continue to bash with tactics of class warfare. They try to divide the country based on race, and they try to divide folks based on income. Now, back to the Democrats' proposal. Here's more. The proposed taxes fall heavily on business, including limits to small business tax deductions, an increase in the corporate tax rate to 26.5% from 21%, and a 3.8% tax on pass-through entities such as law firms. Critics say the higher taxes on businesses will make the U.S. less competitive globally. The increase to the corporate tax would put the U.S. rate well above those of other nations, including Scandinavian welfare states like Sweden, which taxes corporations at 20.6%. It would also be above the corporate rate of geopolitical competitors like China. The Democrats' plan raises taxes on small businesses. It raises taxes on investments, and their spending plan is increasing inflation, which is like raising taxes on all of us. And despite all the data, the left refuses to see that when taxes are actually lowered, the economy starts moving and tax revenue to the government actually increases. These moves by the Democrats will hurt economic growth, hurt jobs, and simply add more to the debt and deficit. But bigger government means more control, and that's exactly what the Democrats want. All right, next here's an update on Biden's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley. Milley has come under fire for essentially committing treason, if reports in a new book by Bob Woodward are true. Milley is reported to have had 2 phone conversations with his communist Chinese military counterpart in which he said that he would warn China if then President Trump, his boss, decided to attack the communist nation. Well, Milley is denying that he acted inappropriately, and here's the story. General Mark Milley said Friday calls to his communist Chinese counterpart in the last days of Donald Trump's presidency were routine and fell perfectly within the duties and responsibilities of his job as a top U.S. military officer. In his first public acknowledgement of the exchanges, Milley observed such telephone calls were done to reassure both allies and adversaries in this case in order to ensure strategic stability. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff spoke to the Associated Press and another reporter traveling with him to Europe to state his case. Give me a break. It's one thing to be reassuring and diplomatic while speaking with foreign leaders. It's quite another thing to warn an enemy about a pending attack. That action is quite clearly treason. And here's more. Milley chose to only offer up a brief defense of his calls, saying he plans a deeper discussion about the matter for Congress when he testifies at a hearing later in September. He told the outlet, "I think it's best that I reserve my comments on the record until I do that in front of the lawmakers who have the lawful responsibility to oversee the U.S. military. I'll go into any level of detail Congress wants to go into in a couple of weeks." I'd be looking forward to that congressional testimony, but the fact is that so many times we've seen people testify and nothing happens. No one goes to jail. No one is held accountable. Those poor souls who lost their lives in Benghazi still have not received justice. Will Milley be any different? I hope so, Let me know what you think. All right, so it's Friday. We've talked about Joe Biden, massive tax increases, and Mark Milley. We need to ask them, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, like, I don't know, a relaxed brain.
Okay, for Relaxed Brain Friday, we're going to note that the brainwashing of America's students continues. Recall a teacher that I covered recently who purposely removed the American flag from her classroom because it made her feel uncomfortable. When asked by a student what they were supposed to say the Pledge of Allegiance to, the teacher responded with this.
My kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around and he goes, oh, that one?
Unreal. Well, she was removed from the classroom, but she's just one of many. Here's another. A California high school classroom displayed what an anonymous parent called disgusting brainwashing of students with taxpayer dollars over photos that show F the police and F America posters and Pride and Black Lives Matter flags, according to a tip provided by a parent to Parents Defending Education. The parent of a student at Alexander Hamilton High School in Los Angeles Unified School District shared photos of the posters and flags in the classroom with Parents Defending Education, a national grassroots organization working to fight indoctrination in the classroom. Can you believe this? After complaints by the parents, the school district said the posters will be taken down. But why were they up there in the first place? Much like the teacher who was removed, this class had an American flag, but it was lying on a piece of furniture. Prominently hanging on the wall, however, are the Palestine flag, a transgender flag, a pride flag, a BLM flag. Just no room for the good old American flag. All right, so next today is Constitution Day, so Campus Reform asks students what they think about the Constitution. Here's a sample.
What do you guys think of the Constitution?
Absolute terrible, needs to be redone immediately.
I think it needs a lot more reform for the changes that have happened since then.
I think a lot of the things in there, they do need to be reevaluated, I guess.
I think we just need to update it on more equality, equity, stuff like that.
Okay, so the Constitution, I feel like it's outdated, some of the stuff on there.
I think that our Constitution that we have for America is to some degree outdated.
Wow. America's education system at work. This is the future of our country, folks. The reporter then asked if students would sign a petition to abolish the Constitution. Many agreed to sign, and here are some of the comments.
It wasn't pronouns like they, them, stuff like that either.
So we should include the new pronouns in the Constitution?
Yeah, to make everyone feel included.
The issues of social and cultural differences within our country have been such an issue, predicated by the control that the federal government has over everything, and the federal government is governed by the Constitution. And
so you would say that the Constitution is the root of our issues in this country?
I mean, it's one of them. You could also lead it back to capitalism.
Yep, the Constitution is bad, and apparently, so is capitalism. All right, so how about some breaking headlines from the Babylon Bee, starting with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as she enjoys her new life as a member of the wealthy liberal elite. Beautiful. AOC donates her Tax the Rich dress to help Abuela patch the holes in her roof. And then, as Gavin Newsom survived the California recall election, he also received another prize. Gavin Newsom named U-Haul Salesperson of the Year. Very nice. For the first time in history, California is losing an electoral vote because so many people are leaving. And yet, Californians keep electing people like Newsom. That's probably the ultimate example of relaxed brain. All right, friends, that's our show for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. But don't forget, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our next show is going to be Monday evening at the usual time, 6:30 p.m. Central. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.